Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, our audience and viewers in town and the surrounding towns. We are approaching the last week of October, and the weather in Iowa City, North Liberty, and Coralville is such a beautiful weather. And one of the trips that I would like you to do while the weather is good is to go to the border between Coralville and North Liberty to see the miracle of Liberty High School as it emerged into existence. And it's my privilege and honor tonight to introduce the leader of the new school. I am Hani Al-Qadi, your host and one of the producers of this long program. We have been on the air for about 25 years, and my guest tonight is Mr. Scott Kibby, who likes to call himself, or people like to call you Kib, right?
Yeah, that works. Yeah.
Reading this rich resume of yours, and we met a couple of times before, but for a very short time, and you always looked to me as a young man, and then I read that you have been for 30 years in education. So tell us your story, and how did you become the principal of the new ultra-modern high school?
Yeah, I thought I was going to be a teacher even back when I was in junior high school for whatever reason, and I went to the University of Northern Iowa and got my mathematics degree, and I taught 5 years in a little town in southern Iowa, Eddyville, and taught everything from algebra prep up to calculus. Even had a class where pre-calc and calc were taught at the exact same time in the same classroom with different kids. And I went from there to Cedar Rapids Jefferson, which was my alma mater from when I was in high school, and I taught there for 11 years, mathematics as well. And all that time I was working on my master's degree at the University of Iowa in educational administration, and I got that degree, and a couple years later, while I was still teaching, the associate principal for activities at the school I was working at, Cedar Rapids Jefferson, opened up, and I was fortunate enough to get that job, and did that for 10 years. So I was at Cedar Rapids Jefferson for 21 years total there. And when Mr. Ryland retired from Iowa City West and my kids were graduating from high school, I thought, boy, that'd be an awesome opportunity to run down to Iowa City and work at West High and work for Dr. Argenbright, who I had a lot of respect for, and was fortunate enough to get that job and was the AD at West High for 4 years. And then this past school year, the Liberty principalship opened up, and I had helped with some projects in terms of the design of the facilities and just different things, maybe how the kids would transition to Liberty High School. And the more and more I did those things, the more and more I thought how cool and wonderful it would be to be their principal. And I was fortunate enough to get that job in March of last year, and I started on July 1st, and it's just been a wonderful experience so far.
It was definitely a challenge because you began to replace Mr. Ryland, who was
Right.
very, very popular
Yep.
guy, and everybody was saying, who is going to fill his shoes, you know? And you were very successful. Maybe that's what, of course, was one of the reasons that you were nominated for this prestigious, I would say, competitive position.
Sure.
As Liberty
Yep.
High School principal. Now, when are you starting your registration?
In January, students will be able to register. We're just putting the finishing touches on the Program of Studies book.
We're talking about January 17th.
Yes.
That's coming
Very soon. Yep, and so that'll be the time that kind of kids will declare to us what school they're going to as well, and then we're going to use that data very diligently to drive our decisions in terms of staffing and programming and that kind of stuff. So yeah, we don't usually do it that early, but because we're opening Liberty, we want to get that information as soon as possible so we can build all that stuff.
And when is your office going to be completed? Because now you are temporarily at North Central Junior High, right?
Right. Yep. And I think July 1, hopefully June 1, but North Central's been wonderful to me, and it's been a good place to work out of so far.
And very close.
Very close.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would like you to inform our audience about the hiring process update. Where are you now? Staff, teachers, administrative support staff, and so forth.
Yep, we have 3 staff members that are already Liberty staff members in addition to me. So I have a head custodian, I have an administrative assistant. Marcy Wardenberg is working with me at North Central right now. And I have a teacher librarian. Her name's Jan Smith, and she works at Tate. She's got a big job in terms of building that library collection and all that.
I know Jan.
Jan's wonderful.
She is a treasure,
yes.
I would say.
Yes. Yeah. And so then I have 3 coaches as well. We had Liberty freshman volleyball this year, and we had Liberty football for 9th graders, and then we'll have boys and girls basketball this winter as well. So I've got a handful of athletic coaches for this year. And right now there are 5 teaching positions posted to the district. English, social studies, language arts, Spanish, and mathematics. And we'll be hiring those in November. We know that West will have less kids next year because Liberty will take some of their kids. And so some of that staff from West will have to go to Liberty. And so we thought—
As internal transfers.
As internal transfers. And so we just simply wanted to get that started. And so the first round of teachers will be hired here very soon, and they'll be from West High. And then once we get that student data—
And you mentioned—
Yeah, go ahead.
Huh?
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Five positions.
5,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then in January, once we get that student data, we'll start figuring out how many more math teachers and social studies teachers we need and how much still displacement there will be within the district. So maybe West needs 2 less teachers. Maybe City needs less teachers. And so we'll kind of figure out that internal transfer piece. And then we'll open up the other jobs to the external candidates. So that's all happening in kind of January and February. And my goal is to have that done by spring break, I hope.
I tell you, I mean, I really can't envy you because you work in the abstract.
Yes.
Maybe because you are a math teacher to begin with, so you think in abstract form, because you get a principal, at least they know how many kids are in each classroom,
right,
what their needs are. But now you have to imagine the whole scenario.
Right. And you make educated guesses at it. Last year when I was still at West High and West was registering for this year, we sort of pretended what would happen if Liberty was opening this year so that we could make some educated guesses on how many teachers you might need in social studies and what coursework that the freshmen and sophomores would need and the juniors and seniors as well. But there is a little bit of guesswork until January that we know for sure.
And you want to complete your external hiring before
spring break.
Before the spring break.
Yeah.
How about the co-curricular positions?
Yeah, we'll line up all those coaching positions and the performing arts positions at that same time that we're doing the teachers in January and February. And so if we find a special person who can do speech and debate and they happen to be an English teacher, that we can kind of match those. So I think that's going to work very well. And then after spring break, we'll start working on the rest of the staff, the administrative staff, whether it's an athletic director or associate principals or deans of student, the rest of the secretarial staff and custodians. And there's a lot of people that work in a school, and so we need to fill those jobs as well.
And a little bit selfish question here. How about art?
Yeah, the art teacher, that'll happen in January and February.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. Now, I think we have a beautiful aerial view of the construction and the design of the Liberty High School, and we can show this aerial view now, and you describe to us what we are looking at.
Yeah, we're kind of circling back on Dubuque Street there, and off to the right, you can barely see it, but they just completed the roundabout down there. And now this area on the left, that's kind of the co-curricular area. There's 2 gyms there in the athletic offices. There in the center is going to be the auditorium. It's kind of that white part there that kind of reaches up. And it just spun past it, but on the far east side of the building, it's U-shaped, and that's the academic wing. And they're in really good shape in terms of all that building. The academic wing is weatherproof already. They're pouring the terrazzo this week in the hallways, and they've painted the walls, and all the drywall is up, so they're making wonderful progress in the academic wing. And that main entrance, kind of right in the middle there, is about the only place that there's no doors on it yet, and they're going to finish that this week on Thursday, I'm told. So once they get that done, then the building will be completely weatherproof, and that'll give them a lot of opportunity to get work done during the winter.
And you mentioned the air conditioning and the heating system.
Yep, it's all state of the art. It's the geothermal heating and air conditioning, and
And the soil is helping.
it is.
Well,
It very much
that's
is.
good, because I know that some schools at North Liberty has some trouble with the geothermal. I think Penn Elementary. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a scientist with geology, but there's something about the water and the soil. So it was easy there.
Yeah, so far.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So,
And the building will have state-of-the-art technology in there, interactive whiteboards, a lot of wireless capabilities. We're going to be a one-to-one school, which means every student will have their own computing device. And so a lot of exciting, up-to-date, modern things going on in the school.
and you are very busy, because next week you have a big task, right?
Next week we will release the co-curricular programming to the public. And
Can you explain to our
Yeah.
viewer what's co-curricular?
Yeah, so co-curricular are all those things that are in addition to our academic programming, everything from show choir to jazz band to our athletics, and that's been a big job since I started in July to kind of get that all lined up and figure out where you're going to play baseball and those kind of things. And so we're going to roll that information out to the central office administrators tomorrow, and then the secondary administrators on Thursday. And there was a parent group called the Liberty Transition Team. We'll do that next week. And as soon as I make sure that all three of those groups are comfortable with my plan, we'll roll that out to the public. So, I know we're going to have show choir. I know we'll have jazz band and cheerleading and dance. And I get asked a lot of questions about those things. And then we'll roll out that stuff on basketball and wrestling as well.
I think I want to ask you about the sports teams that you have already.
Yes,
You started, this year, right?
we did.
So tell me the story.
Yeah, so we have 8 sports for Liberty freshmen this year. We have 4 for boys and 4 for girls. So the boys are football, basketball, soccer, and baseball. And the girls are volleyball, basketball, soccer, and softball. And yes, we just completed our volleyball and football seasons. The kids did a wonderful job. They're in Liberty uniforms, and they have their own coaches. And just the thinking was to kind of start building that community and building those teams, and also kind of help both West and Liberty. If you think about football, we can have 2 quarterbacks this year and 2 running backs and 2 of everything. And so that next year, each school is starting to build their kids into those positions.
So
as
they have
well.
the T-shirts already with
They do.
with the logo.
Yes, they do.
As a matter of fact, there is something personal here, because my daughter was among the West High Students Committee who decided what kind of logo.
Nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she's very proud of that.
Yes, it's nice. Yep.
I said, put it in your resume, because you're going to be part of the history
That's
of
right.
a very important school.
That's right.
And they are playing already, and they are achieving, and they are scoring.
Yes.
Those-
Yep. I don't know the exact record on my volleyball team. They play in some weekend tournaments, so it's hard to keep track of that. But they had a winning season, and my football team was 5 wins and 4 losses, and just the kids
wow.
did a great job, and they
Already?
were fun to watch. And yeah.
That's very impressive. Now, I would like to move to the community part of
Yeah.
your effort, because there is nothing that can be done without support from the community. And I know that you had in the fall you had the rep rally,
Mhm.
right? And tell me about that a little bit.
Yeah, the Booster Club started in July, I believe, and ran a second meeting in August. And then in late August, we had a pep rally for the community out at North Central because we don't have any facilities at Liberty yet. And there were roughly 250 people there. And we introduced the volleyball team and the football team. And the Booster Club talked about getting engaged and building committees for Liberty High School.
Pep rally was from the community in North Liberty and Coralville?
It was, yeah. It was parent generated by that Booster Club, and just is very humbling, the enthusiasm and energy that was there that night, but kind of all nights.
Tell me about the parent, student, teacher organization, how they are helping or giving hand in this whole effort.
Yep, and they've met just once, and we'll meet again next week. And just like the Athletic Booster Club, they're very engaged and very excited about their school and want to help where they can help and support the teachers and the students. And again, just very humbling that everybody's so excited about that.
Usually I conclude the interview by two parts. One is I would ask you to look at the camera and talk to the community about what kind of expectations do you have from the community. And if we have time, I would like you to inject part about yourself, about your life, about so people know you as a leader and a principal, but I would like you to introduce yourself as a human being, to what kind of family you have and all that.
Okay.
Okay, so let us start with your message to the community.
Well, I would say, first of all, we've talked about kind of my freshman football team, and Coach,
anyway, here's your camera, so this would be...
Coach Gordon, a lot of times he and I will talk about nobody at Liberty High School has ever been bullied, and kind of a neat message that the slate is clean for us, and we can have high expectations and be enthusiastic about our work, and we have a wonderful facility to enjoy and be energetic about. And I guess maybe that's what you should know about me in terms of the way I do my work. I'm a high energy guy and try to be enthusiastic and positive with kids. And so come with that expectation to jump in and try a lot of things, and don't worry about being a single sport athlete or a single performance kid. Do a lot of things at West High. And then I think just on a personal level, I have 3 children, I have 2 that are identical twins, and I have an older son. They're all grown now, and so my passion can be in education. And
are they in Iowa City?
They're not. I have one in New York City, and she works in the publishing industry, and I have a son in Chicago who works in the finance industry, and I have a daughter who's in grad school in Omaha.
Oh, you are everywhere.
We are everywhere. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So it's been wonderful, and I'm in a really good place in my life where I can devote a lot of time and energy to the school, and my kids are grown, and that work is done.
Now, going back to your rich history from the beginning. The first was in Eddyville.
Eddyville, Iowa.
In Eddyville, Iowa. Your experience in Eddyville, Iowa, was in Cedar Rapids, Jefferson, which was totally different.
Yes.
And now in Liberty, which is another difference.
Right.
Of course, it's unfair for me to ask you which one do you think the best that fits you, but can you just because I am inquisitive about that, how they are different?
I actually get asked this quite a bit, and so in Eddyville, in small town rural Iowa, I wouldn't have traded that experience for anything. I taught everything. I was the entire math department, and so I got a rich set of backgrounds in terms of working with all kinds of kids who were fabulous at math and kids who struggled with math, and that was good for me. I coached every season, fall, winter, spring, and summer, and I drove the school bus. And one of the neat things that I like to say about small town, and particularly at Eddyville, is we had parent-teacher conferences every Friday night, and people would look at me, how could you have parent-teacher conferences every Friday night? Well, the community was centered around that school, and whether it was football or basketball basketball or wrestling, we all got together around our school. And, some of my kids would say, "You talked to my dad last night about my homework." Well, yes, I had parent-teacher conferences at the ball game. And so it was a wonderful experience. And then, yes, at Cedar Rapids Jefferson, a much larger school, and my kids went there, and it's a fabulous school and comprehensive programming from AP, where we couldn't offer some of that stuff in a small school, but AP programming and the wide variety of plays and show choir and sports that my kids could do. So it was a fabulous experience there. And then being at West High in a university community, there's something special about being in a university community. They have high expectations, which is wonderful, and the kids are fabulous in a university community. And the education really, really, really matters in a university community.
Because of the fact that the issue of diversity is a very it's on the front burner, as you say.
Yep.
And you started in Eddyville. I would presume that it was pretty homogeneous.
Very homogeneous.
And then you went to Jefferson, which was one of the high diverse schools in the state of Iowa.
Yep.
How did you? I think this gave you a lot of experience.
Yeah, and the good part for me was I grew up in Cedar Rapids, so I knew that dynamic.
Okay.
So I didn't grow up in rural America, and so yes, that was a transition in terms of kids from Eddyville to Cedar Rapids Jefferson. But I lived in that community.
So
and I
for
knew
you,
that.
Eddyville was a culture shock.
It is. It's true. Especially I'm driving a school bus and down the gravel road, and there's a turkey vulture. It was the first turkey vulture I ever saw because I was a city boy. Yeah.
Do you have special interests other than sports? As a person, I mean, how the fun in your life?
My wife and I love to travel, and so we just recently traveled to.
And you have a house everywhere in the United States?
No, we don't. We have one
Three
house.
states.
Yeah.
No, I mean with the kids, right?
Yes, yes. So that's probably our first passion, is we love to travel and enjoy our family.
What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to that first day of school, that hustle and bustle of the kids and the enthusiasm, and I can picture it as if it's tomorrow, and so I'm really looking forward to it.
Can I be the first journalist in Iowa City to give a picture of how the first day in Liberty School would look like? Give me a little scenario.
I think we're going to gather. We're going to gather in the auditorium or one of our open spaces, and we're going to celebrate that we're all here together, and we're all here as a community, and we're going to have just an outstanding positive experience. And then we're going to acclimate them to their new building because they've never been in it before, and get them used to where the gym is and where the theater and the band rooms and those kind of things are, and welcome them to their staff because they have no idea who the teaching staff is, right? We haven't hired those folks yet, and kind of introduce them to their school and teaching family, their new family.
Wonderful. It looks very intriguing. We have here a couple of retired teachers.
Yes.
Maybe they would reconsider, going back and work with you or for you. Now, after the celebration and everything, I would like to ask you, some of the audience here may like to apply for a job in your place, whether they are administrators or they are teachers or staff. What are you looking for? What are you looking for in your candidates for positions at Liberty High?
That's an awesome question.
And you have a couple of minutes to say.
Yeah. I first and foremost, not worried as much about being a content specialist as being a kid specialist. Oh. And so, yeah, you need to understand your English literature if you're an English teacher, but you need student-centered. You need to understand kids and be able to work with kids of all abilities. And and be excited about working with kids of all abilities. So that'd be one thing. The second thing would be willingness for change, or willingness to be open to try new things. We're going to be a one-to-one school, so you've got to be willingness to kind of embrace technology where we aren't one-to-one anywhere in the district right now. And I think
flexibility.
Flexibility. You know, at Liberty, we're going to have so many new things. You need to be willing to kind of jump into those new things. The flexibility part of this, I laugh all the time with people. What are you most worried about? All those processes that we take for granted in a school. I kid people, you know, Dr. Argenbright knew how lunch was going to work because it ran the same way for 31 years. We haven't eaten lunch in Liberty, right?
Seconds.
Yeah, we haven't eaten lunch at Liberty, and so we don't know necessarily. We've got an idea, of course, but there's going to be processes that we haven't kind of fleshed out yet that might not work the very first time, and so we need to be flexible, and we'll get that all fixed, and we'll figure out what's best for our system.
I believe that the first generation would be a very lucky generation because they will build everything as they like.
That's right.
And they make their own thing.
Yeah, and we'll adapt it. We might think that this is the way we like it, and we might
innovate,
try and go
innovate and create.
Right?
And
yes.
Well, it has been a wonderful interview with you, Kib.
Thank you for having me.
And we are happy, of course, with the birth of Liberty High. We are happy that you are a leader with such beautiful smile too.
Thank you.
I have to say this because we are on TV.
Sure.
You know, that's part of it. You know, that's important. And we would like you to have the best bliss and success and achievements. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This program will be, of course, on Channel 18. And that's the Public Access TV, who is our host here. They are very nice people. They provide us with the studios, the facilities, the machines, with directors, and a lot of help.
Cool.
As well as on Channel 21, that's the education channel that part of the deal with Mediacom. So we have 2 venues for this program, in addition to the important one, which is YouTube.
Sure.
As well as the Public Access TV website, which is a very successful website. It gives you an idea. And as an athletic director, you may be interested to look at the website. We have a very successful athletic programs here too. Maybe you think or you consider participating for sure. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to wish you all the best tonight, and to conclude this with my best wishes. Enjoy the beautiful weather of the last week of October in the gorgeous Iowa City.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Thank you.